We have overall pressurization. 3070. Ground.
T-minus 2 minutes and counting. The booster tank's now pressurized for flight.
Copy. I copy the report.
Next up, the Soyuz will be placed on internal power. The two umbilicals you see at the bottom of your screen buttressed up against the Soyuz. The first of those two will be retracted at about the T-minus 33-second mark, followed at T-minus 12 seconds by the second umbilical separating. That will initiate the engine sequence start. Coming up on T-minus 1 minute. Mark, T-minus 1 minute and counting.
Ground power disconnect.
The vehicle on internal power. T-minus 34 seconds and counting. The first umbilical now retracting.
First umbilical tower from booster. Ground propellant field termination.
Tower from booster. Ground propellant feed terminated.
Copy all the reports. Tower off.
The second umbilical now retracting. Standing by for engine sequence start. We have main engine ignition. Preliminary, intermediary.
Second umbilical tower.
T-minus 4 seconds. 3, 2, 1.
Turbopump, flight speed, engines at maximum.
And liftoff. Holiday travel underway for the rocket ride to the International Space Station.
Maximum control system parameters nominal.
Flight. All onboard systems are nominal.
All onboard systems are nominal. Good first stage performance reported from the blockhouse in Baikonur.
T plus 30 seconds.
30 seconds into the flight, the Soyuz booster arcing out to the northeast from the Baikonur Cosmodrome. Good roll, pitch, and yaw program. Good structural stability on the rocket.
Давление в камерах двигателя в норме. 50 seconds.
Engine chamber pressure is nominal.
On board.
Тангаж, рысканье, вращение в норме.
Passing through the area of maximum dynamic pressure on the vehicle, max Q as it's called.
Полет нормальный.
T plus 70 seconds.
70 seconds into the flight. Good first stage engine performance reported.
Параметры системы управления ракеты-носителя в норме. 90. Двигатели первой и второй ступеней работают нормально.
And the view inside the descent module showing Kud Sverchkov at the bottom. To his left, Sergei Mikheyev. All engine parameters reported to be functioning normally.
The vehicle is nominal. Everything's fine on board as well. And we confirm pressure GGO parameters.
And we have confirmation of first stage separation. The strap-on boosters falling away nominally. 2 minutes and change since the launch of the Soyuz booster.
Stage separation is confirmed.
The Soyuz now operating on the power of its second stage engine.
140. Параметры конструкции ракеты-носителя в норме.
All structural parameters reported to be normal on the Soyuz.
Двигатель второй ступени работает нормально.
Coming up on the 3-minute mark.
We confirm
Есть сброс створок головного обтекателя.
The launch shroud encapsulating the Soyuz booster The Soyuz spacecraft has now been jettisoned.
Стабилизация изделия устойчивая.
3 minutes into the flight, this view from the camera on the upper stage of the Soyuz 2.1A booster.
And we confirm everything's fine on board.
Параметры конструкции ракеты-носителя в норме. Полет нормальный. Время КП 12 часов 27 минут 57 секунд 402 миллисекунды.
190 seconds into the flight, the reports are continuing to come in, and all is green from the blockhouse in Baikonur.
The second stage is nominal.
200 seconds. Second stage thrusters are working nominally.
Second stage thrusters reported to be operating normally. Good structural stability.
Flight is nominal.
220 seconds, nominal flight.
Coming up on the 4-minute mark into the flight.
Copy, everything's fine on board. We're feeling great.
Kud Sverchkov reports he and his crewmates are in good shape, feeling great. The second stage shutdown scheduled at the 4-minute, 37-second mark into the flight.
T plus 50, your pitch and roll are all nominal, and we, on our side, everything's fine on board. We're feeling good. T plus 270 seconds, the vehicle is nominal. Everything's fine on board. We're feeling good.
And we have second stage shutdown.
Second stage separation confirmed. Copy. Second stage separation is confirmed.
Lower skirt has been separated. The third stage engine now propelling the Soyuz to its preliminary orbit, providing 67,000 pounds of thrust. This burn will continue until about the 8-minute 46-second mark, when it will shut down and the Soyuz will be placed into its preliminary orbit.
The vehicle is nominal. Copy. Everything's fine on board.
Coming up on the 6-minute mark into the flight.
T plus 3.
About 2 minutes and 46 seconds of powered flight remaining.
Everything's fine on board. We're feeling good.
Good reports on the performance of the third stage engine.
30 seconds. Engines working nominally. Copy.
6.5 minutes into the flight.
Fine on board.
A little over 2 minutes of powered flight remaining. Liftoff time was confirmed at 3:27 and 57 seconds a.m. Central Time, 2:27 and 57 seconds p.m. at the launch site in Baikonur. Passing 7 minutes into the flight, about 1 minute 46 seconds of powered flight remaining.
T plus 420 seconds. Your pitch and roll are all nominal. Copy. We're feeling good. T plus 450 seconds, nominal flight. Copy. The crew is feeling fine.
We're approaching the 8-minute mark into the flight, less than a minute of powered flight remaining.
T plus 480. The vehicle is stable. Copy. And everything's okay on board, and we're feeling good. T plus 500 seconds. Nominal flight.
The third stage engine beginning to throttle down in preparation for its shutdown and separation.
510 seconds. T plus 520. Third stage. Get ready for third stage separation.
And we have third stage shutdown and separation. A nominal ride uphill for Williams, Kudzverchkov, and Mikheyev. We'll be watching momentarily for the deployment of the solar arrays and the navigational antennas on the MS-28. And there they go. And we now have confirmation that the arrays and navigational antennas have all been deployed normally. A perfect ride uphill for the soon-to-be newest trio of residents of the International Space Station.
We confirm a third stage separation was nominal. Great. Now close RPV 1 and 2. So that's going to be parameters 21. Copy. RPV 1 is closed. Unintelligible. Repress.
A perfect ride uphill for the 3 crew members aboard the Soyuz MS-28.
Put in Ctrl S from in work and close the launch insertion display. 37 minutes. Pressure in BO is 824. Next pressure is 884.
The crew on board Soyuz MS-28, led by the commander, Sergei Kudzverchkov, the Soyuz commander.
Moving on to page 36.
In the process of receiving parameters from the Russian mission controllers in Korolyov outside of Moscow, who are now in control of the flight of Soyuz to the station, following a flawless launch and ascent to its preliminary orbit.
Dynamic mode is enabled at 12:10. And we see that you turned on the video. We are receiving the video signal from you.
And there's a view of the control panel inside the Soyuz spacecraft with a variety of different technical parameters that are being monitored by the launch control team in Baikonur, as well as the flight controllers in Korolyov at the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow.
Went through, and we are turning off repress. Copy. And we're standing by for form 03.
The next burn
17.
in the sequence of rendezvous maneuvers is scheduled just after 4 a.m. Central Time. This is our first view from an external television camera on the Soyuz. This will come into play more prominently when we get back into our next broadcast for rendezvous and docking to the Rassvet module of the International Space Station. Coming up just after 4 a.m. will be what is called the DV1 burn, the Delta Velocity 1 burn. That will increase the speed of the Soyuz by about 22 meters per second, fine-tuning its path on route to a fast-track rendezvous with the space station later this morning.
23rd, 326, 24, 17.7, 25th, 17.2, 26, 272, and prop is 878. We copy all Cratchit 2. And
the Soyuz crew is testing now one of the redundant sets of the Corps' automated rendezvous system that will guide the Soyuz into an automated docking to the Rassvet module. In the unlikely event anything would happen that would inhibit the Corps' system from operating normally, Svechkov will take over manual control of the flying of the Soyuz for its docking. But the Corps' system is up and running and currently being tested, and everything appears to be in good shape. Back here in Mission Control in Houston, the Orbit 1 team of flight controllers has had its morning daily planning conference with the Expedition 73 crew aboard the station, who watched the launch of Soyuz MS-28 on a video uplink to the station itself. Everything aboard the station is in readiness for the arrival of the newest trio of residents for the complex, as Williams, Mikheyev, and Svechkov are in the early minutes of their ride to the station that will culminate with a automated docking to the Rassvet module at 6:38 a.m. Central Time, 7:38 a.m. Eastern Time. We will be back on the air with our rendezvous and docking coverage, as you see on this graphic, at 6:45 a.m. Eastern Time, 5:45 a.m. Central Time, following today's successful launch of Soyuz MS-28. So we'll see you back here in a couple of hours. In the meantime, happy Thanksgiving once again. This is Mission Control Houston.
3, 5, 7, and 9. One. So for the first input, check it out. Everything's nominal for the first input. 12:41:52.
In coordination with the International Asteroid Warning Network to try to get the worldwide community together to gather observations about physical properties of an asteroid and turn that around quickly.
So we essentially had a very short
nominal.
학 때나 유기로 인한 오는 경우도 있습니다.
Thank you so much. Thank you. Кречета МСС Moscow. Go ahead. All right. Write down for page 45. IKV inhibit is time is 13:45. All right, and then we will proceed with the manual controls test. We copy 13:45 is the IKV inhibit time, and we will proceed with the manual controls test. Affirmative. Кречета МСС Moscow. Orbital parameters are nominal. You can open your visors and release your shoulder straps and unintelligible thermal sensors. Кречета МСС Moscow. We will go LOS in 2 minutes. So manually turn off the com assets at the end of the compass. 13:59 is the next compass, and you will have to deactivate and then reactivate the com assets manually. Copy. We copy all. Is the thermal sensor off? The thermal sensors are off. Copy. Кречете. You have the timeline for the maneuvers. Please monitor how the first maneuver goes. Copy. And on page 42, please write down the KDU switchover time. It's going to be 13:06:00. Copy. 13:06:00. And you have the approach timeline. And we will talk to you soon. Talk to you soon, Moscow.
Кречет СУП Москвы.
Кречет МСС 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 Moscow.
Еще рано. Кречет СУП Москвы.
Кречет МСС Moscow.
Кречет СУП Москвы.
Кречет МСС Moscow. Moscow, this is Кречет. Кречет, we can hear you.
Кречет, как нас слышно?
And how do you hear us? Кречет in Moscow. Moscow, this is Кречет.
Кречет СУП Москвы, как слышно нас?
Кречет, this is Moscow. How do you hear me?
Кречет СУП Москвы.
Кречет, this is Moscow. Moscow, this is Кречет. How do you read us?
Кречет, слышим вас хорошо.
We have you loud and clear. Moscow. Кречет, this is Moscow. How do you read me? Moscow, this is Кречет. How do you read me?
Кречет СУП Москвы, как
Кречет, this is Moscow. How do you read me? Moscow, I can hear you well. Com assets were activated at the specified time. Copy. We were having minor com issues. We could hear you, but you did not hear us. Well, there was a lot of interference with GroundCom. All right, so we're standing by for your report on the vehicle. We checked in the maneuver. The vehicle is not leaking. We're feeling weight. The pressure reading was 10 millimeters, and the sub pressure is changing. It stays the same for a long time, and then it changes drastically. The O2 partial pressure is fine. The burn value is 22.6. The maneuver was complete. The first burn was completed at 13:48:41. 50.81 meters per second, and burn duration time was 2 minutes and 4 seconds. Also, the probe extension was automatic, 2 minutes and 25 seconds. The hand controller test was nominal. Section switch over was at 13:05:50.
Принято все, доклад.
Copy all. Copy everything in your report.
Тестом ручек все тоже все хорошо.
And the hand controller test was also nominal. Yes, no issues with the hand controller test. Copy.
Ожидаем боковой коррекции через 10 секунд.
We're standing by for the lateral correction in 10 seconds. Yes, stand by.
Есть включение ДПО боковой коррекции.
DPO thrusters are on for the lateral correction. Copy.
Ну, мы дисплей информацию тоже получаем.
And we're also getting the parameters on our displays. We can see the parameters on format 44. Copy.
Включение двигателей ДПО.
The DPO thrusters are on. Activation time is 14:05:27. Copy.
Так, Кричите, напомню,
Кричит.
Т1 у нас 14:09:36.
T1 is 14:09:36. Copy.
Ожидаем Т1 14:09:36.
And we're standing by for T1 at 14:09:36. And Sergey, let's go over page 50 if you have time. Let's write down the times for thrust activation. Yes, ready to copy. SKD2 time is 14:26. 14:23:46. Burn is 39.83. 39.83. Written down, and burn duration is 1 minute and 39 seconds. 1 minute and 39 seconds. And for page 52, let's write that down too for SKD main engines number 3 times 3. SKD tick time number 3 is 15:57:55. 15:07:55. Correct. Burn value is 5.35. 5.35.
16 секунд.
Duration is 16 seconds. Copy. 16 seconds.
Тогда можно еще и на 51-й странице.
Well, we can also go back to page 51 and write down the closed transmitter activation. Time 14:55:00, and this is just for information. It will be activated as a backup. Copy. We're standing by for the the backup transmitter activation at 14:55:00. And do not deactivate COM assets when this COM passes over, and also you can talk to the ISS crew and the NBC Moscow. Please broadcast the actions. We will do that. And also please report about course tests and signal acquisition on range rate, etc. Copy.
Кречет СУПа Москвы.
Кречет, this is Moscow. Go ahead.
Вам для информации.
For your information,
спусковой импульс 115,2.
The descent burn magnitude is 115.2. 115.2, copy. Sergey, could you please switch to the maneuver format display? And the old burn value will be there in that display right until docking. All right, so you can go back to the rendezvous display. Moscow, we've switched to OSK, inaudible. Copy. The 17 is illuminated. This is the approach flag set indication is illuminated. Course set to test initiation confirmed. We'll switch to set 1 from set 2. Copy. Please report current SA, BO, and oil pressure. SA pressure is 808 millimeters. Inaudible, set course 1, 2.
Кречет 2,
Кречет 2, this is Moscow, go ahead. Sergey, please report the results of the 30-minute measurement, specifically the numbers.
Давление СА 799, дельта минус 10.
SA pressure 799.
823, дельта минус 10.
BO pressure is 823. And the delta pressure is negative 1.
Дельта минус 1.
Все, доклад принял.
Copy all. Thank you.
Захват 14, 12, 22.
Кречет супа Москвы.
Кречет, this is Moscow. Go ahead.
Давайте запишем с вами форму 2314.
Let's write down the parameters for form 2314 with 2 burn magnitudes, with 2 maneuvers, page 33. Correction. Page 81. Yes, ready to copy.
Начало, второй виток, начало витка.
Orbit 2.
13.46.
1346.
Начало сеанса 13:59.
LOS 13:59. Copy.
Конец сеанса 14:18.
LOS 14:18.
Вход в тень 14:14.
Orbital night 14:14.
Выход из тени 14:48.
14:48. Sunrise. Audible.
Программа 5. 14:34.
Program 5. 14:34:08. Copy. 14:14:08. Scadetic time 15:07:08. Copy.
Импульс 115,2.
Burn 115.2. Copy.
Время работы 3 минуты 35.
And duration is 3 minutes and 35 seconds. Copy. 3 minutes 35 seconds and landing angle 137. 137. Sergey, please write down that on orbit 3, the burn value, angle, and duration are all the same. Copy. Parameters are the same. And let's switch to orbit 3 in form 2314. Orbit start 15:17. Copy.
Начало сеанса 15:33.
AOS 15:33. Copy.
Конец сеанса 15:51.
LOS 15:51. Copy. 15:51. Eclipse 15:45. Copy. Sunrise at 16:19.
Сумерки 12 минут.
Twilight 12 minutes.
Программа 5. 16.
Program 5. 16:05:42. Copy.
СКД 16:38.
Scadetic time is 16:38:42.
Импульс, время работы, угол посадки написали с тобой.
And the burn value, landing angle and duration, we've written that down. 137.
Так, и
yes, 137. And table 4, when you start executing maneuver 1 and 2 maneuvers for approach, yes, table 4 on page 81.
Так, второй виток, начало витка
So orbit 2 starts at 13:45.
Начало сеанса
Copy 13:45. AOS 13:59.
59.
13:57. No, 13:59. Copy 59. LOS 14:18.
Конец сеанса 14:18.
LOS 14:18.
14:14.
Sunset 14:14.
Тень 14:14. Выход из тени
14:14. Sunrise 14:47.
Выход из тени 14:43.
Sunrise 14:43. No, it is 14:47.
Тут Москва как принимается?
Moscow, how copy?
14:47, подтвердите.
Sunrise is at 14:47. Please confirm 14:47 and twilight duration 13 minutes.
Программа 5.
Program 5.
14:32:09.
14:32:09.
Принимаю с помехами 14:32.
You're coming in with interference 14:32 and then what? 09. 14:32:09. Scadetic time is 15:05:09. TIG is 15:05:09. Correct. Burn magnitude is 115.2. 115.2. And the duration is 3:31. 3:31. Landing angle is 147. Yes, Sergey, for orbit 3, magnitude, duration, and landing angle are all the same, 115.2, 331, and 147, that's correct, and from 23 for orbit 3, orbit starts at 1518. 1518, orbit 3. It starts at 1518. Moscow, how copy? Moscow, how copy? Moscow, this is Kretschke. How do you copy?
Экипаж СУПа Москвы.
Crew, this is Moscow. Moscow, you're coming in clear but not very loud. Maneuver. repress is activated. Thrusters activation at 14:23:56. Duration is 30 seconds, 30 kilograms. This is the prop consumption, and the acceleration is 40. Inaudible. Escadé duration 1 minute 61 kilometers, 26 meters per second is the delta V, and acceleration is 40. Escadé 2 minutes, 91 kilograms. This is the prop consumption. Escadé activation confirmed. The burn value is 39.7. Duration is 1 minute and 35 seconds. We have confirmed that we're back to OSK. We cannot see visually, and inaudible is confirmed. Copy. We will proceed with actions on page 59. Copy. Sergey, how do you read me? If you can read me well, let's continue with form 2314 and finish it up. I turned up the volume, and I'm ready to continue with Forum 2314, page 81. Orbit 3, table 4, orbit start at 1518. 1518, that's noted down. AOS at 1534. 1534. LOS 1553. 1553. Sunset 1547. 1547. Sunrise 1620. Sunrise at 1620. Twilight 13 minutes. 13 minutes. Program 5 start. 16:05:22. Program 5 start at 16:05:22. That's correct. Escadé TIG at 16:38:22. Escadet TIG 163822, correct? Burn value, duration, and landing angle are all written down. Yes, the Escadet duration is burn duration is 331. Landing angle is 147. That's correct. Yes, please proceed per page 51, and you're going to execute all actions there.
Кречет, MCC Moscow. Go ahead. What's the Delta V? What's the range rate? Everything's fine on board. Кречет, could you please report from time to time as far as the rendezvous and approach? Кречет is unintelligible. Moscow range is 40 kilometers. Range rate is 39.2. Copy. Moscow. Range is 37 kilometers. Range rate is unintelligible 7 meters per second. Кречет, por favor. A favore. Greetings, guys. Greetings. Кречет. And congratulations on such a successful orbital insertion. Thank you. We are ready to greet you on board the ISS, and we are taking lunch orders. Let us get to the ISS first. Well, guys, slow and steady, and successful docking to you. Moscow. Range is 34 kilometers. And range rate is 24.8. Copy. Range is 30 kilometers and range rate is 41.3. Copy.
Good morning and happy Thanksgiving from Mission Control in Houston and the International Space Station Flight Control Room here at the Johnson Space Center. At this hour, 3 crew members aboard a Soyuz MS-28 spacecraft, Chris Williams of NASA and Roscosmos cosmonauts Sergei Kud-Sverchkov and Sergei Mikheyev, are closing in on the International Space Station for an expected docking at about 6:38 a.m. Central Time, 7:38 a.m. Eastern Time, following their launch from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan just about 2 hours and 18 minutes ago. The Soyuz closing in very steadily but surely on the International Space Station, now almost 15 kilometers away from the orbital complex. You're looking at a view from an external camera on the Soyuz vehicle, a cross-haired engineering camera that soon will have an engineering overlay showing a bunch of data that will help technicians as well as the crew on board the Soyuz understand the relative distance between the two vehicles as well as the rate of closure before the link-up occurs to the Rosviet module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. The journey for Williams, Kud-Sverchkov, and Mikheyev began from the Baikonur Cosmodrome at 3:27 and 57 seconds a.m. Central Time, 4:27 and 57 seconds a.m. Eastern Time, 2:27 and 57 seconds p.m. at the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan. The Soyuz was launched into an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator as it made its way uphill, a perfect ascent for the vehicle, separating from the third stage of the Soyuz booster about 8 minutes and 46 seconds after liftoff. At that point, the automatic commands were issued to deploy the solar arrays and navigational antennas on the Soyuz, and the two-orbit rendezvous profile began with a series of rendezvous burns, small impulse maneuvers from the Soyuz thrusters to fine-tune its path to the International Space Station. This was the scene at the Baikonur Cosmodrome, again at 3:27 and 57 seconds a.m. Central Time, 2:27 and 57 seconds p.m. Baikonur time, as the Soyuz lifted off, arcing out to the northeast from the launch site in the Central Asian Desert. All of the 3 stages of the Soyuz booster performed perfectly, enabling the Soyuz to reach its intended initial orbital target 8 minutes and 46 seconds after launch. At this hour, flight controllers you see there at the Russian Mission Control Center in Korolyov outside of Moscow began to assume control of the flight of the Soyuz to the International Space Station. At the moment, the two vehicles are flying 260 miles over the South Pacific, entering an orbital sunrise, moving now from southwest to northeast in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator. We are about 29 minutes away from the so-called fly-around maneuver. This is the maneuver that will enable the Soyuz, once in the neighborhood of the International Space Station, to execute a 50-degree fly-around of the complex to precisely align its forward docking probe to the Rassvet module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. At that point, there'll be a very brief period, just a few seconds probably, of station keeping to enable that Russian flight control team to assess the alignment of the forward docking probe to the Rassvet module before the automatic command is given to enable final approach and then contact and capture. Once the two vehicles are docked, it basically is a soft dock at that point, where the relative motion between the two vehicles will be allowed to dampen out against one another. The forward docking probe will retract to bring the two docking interfaces flush against one another. A series of hooks will begin to engage on both sides of the docking interface to form a hard mate. That will be followed by leak checks on both sides of the docking interface, first by the Soyuz crew on the Soyuz side of the docking interface, then by the station crew led by their commander Sergei Ryzhikov on the Rassvet module side of the docking interface. With those leak checks having been completed, the crews will proceed to open up the hatches, the Soyuz hatch as well as the Rassvet hatch, and Williams, Kudzverchkov, and Mikheyev will float inside the International Space Station to be greeted by the station commander Sergei Ryzhikov, his Roscosmos crewmates Alexei Zubritsky and Oleg Platonov, the NASA astronaut crew aboard, that is Mike Fink, Zena Cardman, and Johnny Kim, and Kimiya Yui of the Japan Aerospace Exploration Agency. Parenthetically, Mike Fink is currently celebrating his 500th day in space. This on his fourth flight into space. Fink will become the space station commander on December 7th, a week from Sunday, when he takes over command of the complex from Sergei Ryzhikov. That's just a day before Ryzhikov, Johnny Kim, and Alexei Zubritsky say farewell to the newly arrived station components and the crew of Expedition 74 that will begin in earnest at the time that the Soyuz MS-27 spacecraft undocks from the station for a parachute-assisted landing on the steppe of Kazakhstan. That undocking will bring home Sergei Ryzhikov, Zubritsky, and Johnny Kim after 8 months aboard the International Space Station. There's our first view of the Soyuz MS-28 that launched just 2 hours and 24 minutes ago, currently flying over the South Pacific, steadily closing the distance between itself and the International Space Station.
We are done with the test. We have combined GSO, and we confirm acquisition on the first set of Copy.
This conversation that you'll be hearing frequently between the interpreters and the crew on board the Soyuz MS-28, currently involving the activation not only of the Soyuz television system, but once again another test of the Corps' automated rendezvous system on board the Soyuz spacecraft. This basically is the rendezvous system that sends out a radio beacon signal to comparable equipment on the Zvezda service module on the International Space Station's Russian segment, so that comparative navigational data can be loaded onto the Soyuz computers, making sure that it understands its distance from the station and its relative rate of closure. All of the Soyuz systems are operating perfectly, as are the systems on board the International Space Station. Once again, we are less than 10 kilometers separating Soyuz from the station. There will be a series of so-called impulse maneuvers, short bursts of the Soyuz thrusters, to further refine its path to the station and enable it to arrive in the neighborhood of the complex to begin a fly-around of the station that's scheduled about 23 minutes from now.
Moscow, range is 11 kilometers and range is 17.4. And we have the ISS in the center of the periscope. Copy.
And once again, confirmation from the flight control team in Korolyov, radioed up to Sergei Kud-Sverchkov, the Soyuz commander. Less than 10 kilometers now separating the two vehicles, closing at a rate of about 17 meters per second. At the time of contact and capture, the actual docking itself, about 42 minutes from now, the Soyuz will have slowed to a very, very slow rate of about 1/10 of a meter per second, just barely nudging itself into the docking port on the Rassvet module of the International Space Station. What you are likely to see also during the final approach is the Northrop Grumman Cygnus spacecraft, the cargo ship that arrived at the station recently. This past Monday, it was grappled by the Canadarm2 robotic arm and mechanically detached from its berthing port on the common berthing mechanism on the Earth-facing side of the Unity module of the International Space Station. It is currently attached to the arm in what is called a high hover position. This was done to provide the necessary clearance for the Soyuz spacecraft to dock at the adjacent port at the Rassvet module without any fear of interference between the Soyuz solar arrays and the Cygnus itself. Cygnus will be reattached to that common berthing mechanism on the Earth-facing side of Unity next Monday morning. At that point, all 8 ports for visiting vehicles will be occupied on the International Space Station for the first time in history.
Range is 9 kilometers and range rate is 14.5. We still have the ISS in the center of the periscope. We see the video image. Copy.
And this view of the control panel inside the Soyuz MS-28, showing in the upper left-hand corner that engineering crosshair view that you're familiar with. Once we get that a bit larger, I'll point out a few data points on that screen. But this is the view that Sergei Kud-Sverchkov in the center seat of the descent module of the Soyuz, flanked by Chris Williams to his right and Sergei Mikheyev to his left, are currently viewing. The Soyuz and the station are currently moving from southwest to northeast, 260 miles above the Earth in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator, soon to cross the coast of Chile. Harkening back a couple of hours to the launch of the Soyuz from Baikonur, the vehicle was rolled out to its launch pad at Site 31 of the Baikonur Cosmodrome this past Monday, some 2 weeks after the crew actually arrived in Baikonur to begin their final pre-launch training. The Soyuz 2.1A booster was raised hydraulically to its vertical position at the pad, enabling technicians to hook up data lines, electrical lines, and fuel lines, and the entire countdown went off without a hitch, as did the terminal phase of the countdown throughout the course of the early morning hours this morning. Once the Soyuz separated from the third or upper stage of the Soyuz booster and deployed its solar arrays and navigational antennas, this team of flight controllers you're looking at the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow took over control of the flight of Soyuz and are in the midst of communicating with the 3 crew members on board the vehicle.
And Moscow range is 7 kilometers and rate inaudible copy. Rate 11.7. Rate inaudible copy. Rate 11.7.
The International Space Station has been maneuvered into the orientation for docking. Once again, we are expecting the Soyuz to arrive in what I term the neighborhood of the station in about 17 minutes to begin a 50-degree fly-around of the complex. This will enable the Soyuz to precisely align its forward docking probe with the Rosviet module on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment of the International Space Station, which is today's port of call for the 3 newly arrived crew members. There will be a brief, very brief period of station keeping, allowing that flight control team that you see there in Korolyov to align their data with the alignment of that forward docking probe relative to the Rosviet module docking port before the automatic command is issued for final approach. Range 5 kilometers and range rate is 9.8. The Soyuz now reported to be less than 5 kilometers away from the International Space Station on a precise path for an on-time docking at 6:38 a.m. Central Time, 7:38 a.m. Eastern Time. Once the docking is established and we have a hard mate, the crews on either side of the docking interface, Sverchkov, Williams, and Mikheyev on the Soyuz side, and the Expedition 73 crew members on the Rosviet side of the docking interface will be commencing a series of leak checks to ensure that we have an airtight seal before the hatches swing open. That's expected around 8:50 a.m. Central Time, 9:50 a.m. Eastern Time. Once the 3 newly arrived crew members float on board and are greeted by their 73 crewmates, there will be a brief welcoming ceremony, if you will, welcoming remarks for the newly arrived trio. Williams, Kudzvetchkov, and Mikheyev will spend the next 8 months on board the International Space Station, returning to Earth next summer. Sergei Ryzhikov, the current station commander, along with NASA's Johnny Kim and Roscosmos cosmonaut Alexei Zabritsky, will have about a 2-week handover before they begin preparations to board the Soyuz MS-27 spacecraft on Monday, December 8th, close the hatch, undock. That undocking will mark the official end of Expedition 73 and the beginning of Expedition 74 as they make their way back to a parachute-assisted landing on the steppe of Kazakhstan, which will be late on the night of December 8th U.S. time, the morning of December 9th in Kazakhstan. Flying over the heart of Argentina, a view at the top of your screen of the Soyuz spacecraft as it begins the final phase of its rendezvous, a 2-orbit rendezvous to reach the International Space Station. Docking is scheduled about 32.5 minutes from now.
Москвы. На дальности 2,5 ожидайте третьей коррекции, примерно 15:47:55.
Please stand by for the correction at time inaudible. Copy.
3 километра, скорость 9,2 на снижение.
Current range is 3 kilometers and
также проконтролируйте разворот. Куда станция пойдет при развороте.
Monitor the maneuvers. Range rate 9 points. And please monitor the maneuver.
Есть работа депо, есть разворот 15.
Depot activation confirmed, maneuver confirmed.
A good view of the Soyuz MS-28 spacecraft as it crosses the border between Uruguay and southern Brazil.
Activation was at
The fourth in a series of so-called impulse burns underway. Again, small firings of the Soyuz thrusters to refine its path for the start of the fly-around of the station about 10 minutes from now.
burn value is 5.7.
Время работы 13
Duration
секунд.
is 13.
All of those impulse burns so far have been by the book, no issues. The Soyuz right on course for an on-time docking.
47.
Принято.
Magnitude 5.47. Copy.
Идет обратный разворот.
And the maneuver is in progress now.
Принято, тоже наблюдаем.
Copy, and we're monitoring.
Вас со стороны станции снимает, мы тоже наблюдаем разворот.
We can see the maneuver from the station side. Copy.
Наблюдаем станцию ВСК.
You can see the station
Есть
on
обобщенная ГСО.
periscope. Combined GSO command is
Есть захват на
adequate
первом комплекте
confirmed.
курса.
Acquisition by course set 1 confirmed.
Принято. Если необходимо, могу поработать пересветками.
If necessary, I can try to change the AGC mode. Yes, Sergey, please do that.
Однократно пересветку.
A more clear image.
ТВ-пересвет.
Command for AGC adjustment stance. I think that's sufficient. Copy.
Дальность 1700.
Soyuz about to pass 1,000 meters distance between itself and the International Space Station. All of the rendezvous burns have been executed by the book. There's a view from the Soyuz instrument panel of the International Space Station, just about in the crosshairs.
The range of less than 300 meters. We'll do the fly around. And this is stage 63.
Ожидаем оставшихся импульсов по параболе и далее перейдем в облет.
That fly around that I mentioned that will begin in just a few minutes is about a 5-minute maneuver to precisely align the forward docking probe on the Soyuz with the Rassvet module. That's the docking port for today for the Soyuz and its 3 crew members on the Earth-facing side of the Russian segment. The other Soyuz currently at the station, the MS-27 spacecraft, is attached to the Prishal node module on the space-facing side. A correction, the Prishal node module is attached to the multipurpose laboratory module on the Earth-facing side as well. The Prishal module is the multi-port node module. That's where MS-27 currently resides, and that is the ride home for Sergei Ryzhikov, Johnny Kim, and Alexei Zabritsky 2 weeks, in about 2 weeks on December 8th, when they undock from that module and land on the steppe of Kazakhstan several hours later. We're about 26.5 minutes away from our anticipated docking. The fly around of the station soon to begin, about 6 minutes from now.
Работа ДПО на торможение.
ДПО retrograde burn confirmed. Copy.
Less than 1,000 meters separating the Soyuz from the station, closing at a rate of 2.7 meters per second. Those values are seen in the lower left-hand corner of this external cross-haired camera view from Soyuz.
Отключился ДПО. Дальность 830 метров.
ДПО is off. The range is 830 meters and range rating nautical. Copy.
включение ДПО на торможение.
DPO activation is confirmed for braking.
A good view through the solar arrays on the International Space Station as the Soyuz completes what is called Impulse 6, another in the series of mid-course correction burns.
Range rate 1.6. Copy.
The two spacecraft about to pass off the northeastern coast of Brazil, moving from southwest to northeast, soon to cross the equator in an orbit inclined 51.6 degrees to either side of the equator, about 3 minutes away from the beginning of the fly-around of the station by the Soyuz.
Дальность 500 метров.
Range is 500 meters.
The fly-around soon to begin will do so at a distance of about 400 meters between Soyuz and the International Space Station, aligning the Soyuz with the Rossviet module on the Earth-facing side of the orbital outpost. And we now have confirmation that the Soyuz has begun its fly-around of the station. This is a 50-degree fly-around of the International Space Station. This will last about 5.5 minutes or so, aligning the Soyuz with the Rossviet module. 360 meters separating Soyuz from station, closing at a rate of about 0.9 meters per second.
1 meter. Copy.
Once the fly-around is complete, there will be a very brief period of station keeping, enabling the flight controllers of the Russian Mission Control Center outside of Moscow to confer, make sure they're happy with the alignment of the forward docking probe on the MS-28 spacecraft before final approach is initiated.
Сергей, вам рекомендация разверните в 44-й формат на весь экран.
Our recommendation is to expand
К-15 проконтролируйте по инфо 1.
4.4 and also please monitor the parameters. Copy.
The Soyuz about halfway through its fly around. No issues being reported. The core's automated rendezvous system is holding steady. Good lock with the comparable system at the receiving end on the International Space Station.
Range 206 meters, range rate 0.3. Copy.
Есть СНЦ на первом комплекте курс.
SNC курс set 1 is confirmed. Scanning confirmed.
Принято.
Есть захват на первом комплекте курс.
Контролируйте.
Acquisition
Да, есть
confirmed.
захват, принято.
Copy.
Дальность 223 метра, скорость 0,2.
And range rate is 0.2.
Есть К-15 причал.
К-15 confirmed.
Принято. К-15
Final
причал
approach.
горит.
Confirmed. Copy.
Контролируем разворот по крену.
We're monitoring the roll maneuver.
Да, принято.
Copy.
Есть завкон.
The station keeping an approach corridor confirmed.
Принято.
Расчетный экран устанавливать не будем.
We're not going to install the stick using
Включаем подсветку войска сброса.
copy, and we'll activate
Подсветка
the
включена. Готовим
vertical
команду
light.
С-17.
We are now
После того, как фару включите, есть разрешение выдать причал формата сближения.
command. Once the headlight is on, we'll go
Фару
for
подготовили, выдаем
the
С-17. СОП Москвы готов выдать
final approach
причал.
To Moscow, we are ready to send the final approach command and your go.
And the Russian flight controllers now confirm that the fly around is complete and good. Station keeping has begun. Again, this will be very brief.
Time when the approach command was issued. Copy.
And final approach now underway.
Final approach. And you're now on page 54. Copy.
Далее по 54.
Page 54.
44-й формат, да, на весь экран.
And please expand format 44 or display 44.
Дальность 190 метров, скорость 0.
This will be a rather slow ballet in its final phase between the Soyuz and the station. At the time of docking, just a few minutes from now, the Soyuz will be traveling and closing in on the station at a rate of about 1/10 of a meter per second. Good view of the Soyuz crossing the West Sahara.
Range 160, range rate 0.83.
Дальность 140, скорость 0,84.
Range 140, range rate
Точно узел наблюдаю, четко в центре ВСП.
and we're seeing the object at the center of the periscope.
Beautiful close-up view of the Soyuz vehicle flying over Western Africa.
0, range rate 0.55. Copy.
100 meters separating Soyuz from the Rassvet module, closing at about 0.5 of a meter per second.
На дальности меньше 47 метров. Проконтролируйте включение ССВП.
At the range of less than 47 meters, please monitor
Дальность 100 прошли, скорость 56.
the pair of pocket and internal transfer system parameters.
Вас понял.
And the range is multiple copy.
Дальность 80, скорость 0,35.
Range is 80, range rate 0.35.
.70 meters in closing, 0.3 of a meter per second is the rate of closure. Everything lined up and looking good.
Дальность 70 метров, скорость 0,28.
70 meters, range rate 0.28.
Дальность 60, скорость 0,23.
Range is 60 and range rate is 0.22. 0.23 correction.
Принято.
Copy.
A good rate of closure reported by the Russian flight controllers in Korolyov.
At the center.
About 50 meters separating Soyuz from station.
Дальность 50 метров, скорость 0,19.
Range is 15 meters and range rate 0.19.
Дальность 47 метров, есть ССВ, Д7, Д9, Д13, Д17, Д11.
17, 11.
СП ГТ на формате 44 есть.
This is on format.
And at a distance of 40 meters from the station, the Soyuz docking system has now been activated. Shortly after the contact and capture, the docking probe will be retracted to bring the two docking interfaces flush against one another, initiating the closure of hooks on both sides of the docking interface to form a hard mate.
Дальность 40, скорость
Range is 40. Range rate is 116.
The Soyuz 260 miles over the Straits of Gibraltar.
Дальность 30 метров.
Range is 30 meters. Range rate is 0.14. All right. We are standing by for Bata AR for the antenna to close. Copy.
A great picture of the soon to be arriving Soyuz MS-28, and on the right side of your screen is the Soyuz MS-27, which will be departing the station on December 8th with Johnny Kim, Sergei Ryzhikov, and Alexei Zabritsky headed for a parachute-assisted landing on the steppe of Kazakhstan.
The antenna is retracted at the range at 25 meters and unintelligible on format 44. The target is in the center of the periscope and the crosshairs are aligned.
Less than 20 meters now separating Soyuz from its destination.
Range is 15 and range rate is 0.12 for final approach.
At the top of your screen is the docking port on the Rassvet module with the crosshair docking target just below it. "13 meters separating Soyuz from station, closing at the expected rate of 1/10 of a meter per second.
Дальность по прогнозу 12.
Unintelligible is 12.
8 метров.
Range rate is probably 0. Unintelligible. All right. On an IPU-1, you have the SSVP mode, the docking and transfer system activation.
We're standing by for contact and capture. Contact and capture.
Contact is confirmed at
Docking confirmed at 6:34 a.m. Central Time, 7:34 a.m. Eastern Time, as the Soyuz and the station flew 260 miles over Slovenia.
Capture, mechanical capture confirmed. Copy.
The Expedition 73 crew has 3 new mouths to feed on this Thanksgiving Day. A flawless rendezvous, and again docking confirmed at 6:34 a.m. Central Time, 7:34 a.m. Eastern Time.
All right, we are standing by for the O2 tank pressure. The pressure in tank 1 is 102. In number 2 is 248. Prop 506. Copy. Now, on page 57.
Далее на 57-й странице.
Page 57.
Готовим команду R7.
We're sending the R7 command
Подготовил.
to have the wide angle.
2 Soyuz vehicles side by side on the Earth-facing ports of the Russian segment of the International Space Station. The newly arrived Soyuz MS-28 in the middle of your screen, and in the upper left-hand corner, Soyuz MS-27.
One, we are closing RPV-1 at 15:06:18, and we have AKG command ready.
Так, давай. 15:36:30 выдали команду запуска контроля АКГ.
We sent the command for AKG monitoring.
797, давление СА на время 15:36:30, 797, давление ВО 823, давление в приборном отсеке 877, как приняли.
The Soyuz crew reading off technical data to the Russian flight control team in Korolyov. We're waiting for the relative motion to dampen out between the Soyuz and the station before the forward docking probe is retracted to initiate the closing of hooks.
How do you copy?
Принимаем, хорошо.
We read you loud and clear.
Показания АКГ приняли.
So,
Следующий замер через
did you write down the numbers?
Контролируйте стягивание объекта.
And
прохождение команд от СВП.
monitor how the SSVP internal docking and transfer system commands go through within the next few minutes. Well, the next 5 minutes.
It was a flawless ride.
Turning off the...
From start to finish. 3 hours and 7 minutes from launch pad in Baikonur to the International Space Station, where Chris Williams of NASA and Roscosmos cosmonauts Sergei Sverchkov and Sergei Mikheyev will spend the next 8 months.
You have the electrical connector connected.
And the forward docking probe has retracted. Hooks are now driving to form a hard mate.
Flag.
Так, крюки открыты. D17 не горит.
D17.
D15. Защелкни.
D17, D15.
Нет, крюки закрыты. Есть индикатор 15:39:40.
We confirm.
Есть крюки закрыты. D15.
D17.
Есть погасание 48 секунд. Защелки выдвинуты.
latch is extended for D13.
And as you just heard, the Russian flight controllers are confirming that hooks are closed at the docking interface between the Soyuz MS-28 spacecraft and the Rassvet module, which you see in the center of your screen. Again, in the upper left-hand corner is the soon-to-depart Soyuz MS-27 spacecraft that will bring home Johnny Kim of NASA and Roscosmos cosmonauts Alexei Zubritsky and Sergei Ryzhikov. They will undock on December 8th, U.S. time, headed for a parachute-assisted landing on the steppe of Kazakhstan. At the time of undocking, Expedition 73's increment will formally come to an end, and Expedition 74 will begin. But today belongs to Chris Williams, Sergei Kudzverchkov, and Sergei Mikheyev as they executed a flawless trip to the International Space Station, launching from the Baikonur Cosmodrome in Kazakhstan at 3:27 a.m. Central Time, 4:27 a.m. Eastern Time, 3 hours and 8 minutes later, arriving at the Rassvet module for a perfect docking. With hooks now closed and a hard mate formed, the crews on both sides of the docking interface will begin leak checks on either side of that docking interface, setting the stage for the hatch opening and the arrival on board of the 3 Soyuz MS-28 crew members. So with that, we'll wrap up our coverage for the next couple of hours and return on the air at 9:50 a.m. Eastern Time, 8:50 a.m. Central Time for hatch opening coverage and welcoming remarks by the newly arrived Soyuz crew members. Until then, we'll sign off for now. Once again, have a happy Thanksgiving. This is Mission Control Houston.